Hey guys, my name is Tough Kalumba, and I'm here to talk about what wrestling has taught me. And wrestling taught me a lot of things. It taught me how to fight alone. It taught me how to be alone. It taught me how to live alone. That's the thing I love about wrestling because you're alone in there. You're fighting alone, and you get nothing to do about it, and you're just fighting. I wrestled with a fractured rib. My buddy wrestled with a torn knee. My other buddy wrestled with a torn knee. Wrestling will never love you, never will. But when you get your hands raised, it's the best feeling in the world. It feels better than winning a homecoming night in football. It's better than winning a senior night thing in any sport. Even with a small meet, getting your hands raised is the best feeling because you did it by yourself. You fought and beat them. They beat him, man. It's the best feeling in the world. I'm basically trying to show everybody the love I have for wrestling, and that's why I pursue myself being a coach when I retire. Because wrestling showed me a lot. It, like once Dan Gilbert says, once you wrestle, everything becomes easier, and it's true. Everything does become easier after you wrestle, mentally. Because everything like you come up like a breakup or you fail a class or something like that, say all right, I can get it next time, But most people don't like wrestling because they hate losing. They hate wearing that singlet. They hate cutting weight. They don't know how to cut weight, and they just want to give up. And the thing is, I used to cut 10 pounds a day, just in that wrestling room. In those 2 hours, just cut 10 pounds. That's all I did. I just wrestled, fight, all that. I get punched in the face every day. I don't even have a nose anymore. All this is basically kind of shattered, and all I do is fight. I bit my lip, bled, bloody nose. I'm always bleeding there. I used to throw up every day in practice. Like if I'm not throwing up, I didn't work hard enough. And we ran every day. We ran like at least minimum 3 miles, bare minimum. Then we get in there and wrestle live, just to make weight. Most kids need most wrestlers do need like that too. Not like that, but need that to make weight during meets because sometimes we'll be like 10 pounds over the meets the next day. We just gotta lose it. Sometimes even 15 or 20 pounds, and it's just the process we hate. That's our biggest threat as a wrestler is cutting weight. That's why having a diet plan is so important when you're a wrestler. Just because you're not overweight, you don't struggle, you don't have to kill yourself, you don't have to be dehydrated. One of the biggest problems as a young wrestler. In college, your coaches gives you a little meal plan and give you tips and stuff like that. But in high school, that's one of the biggest threats for any wrestler. And another thing wrestling has taught me is it taught me how to be myself. I always hated didn't like being myself. But after I did wrestling and stuff, it showed me who cares if yourself is not. If your buddies don't like you being yourself, they're not your buddies. And it's true. I lost a lot of friends just being myself. I lost a family for being myself. And they didn't like me being a wrestler or a fighter, nothing like that, because I have to overcome fights and stuff. So they always hate me being either a broken nose or a black eye. They always hate me seeing with that stuff. But they learn how to go through that. They learn how to watch me wrestle and get thrown on my neck and stuff like that. And the thing is, I wrestle people who's 20 pounds, maybe 30 pounds heavier than me, and I enjoyed it. I didn't complain about if I lose or not. If I lost, I blame myself. I should have been in the weight room more. I should have been running more. I should have been drilling more. I never use weight as an excuse because at the end of the day, weight doesn't matter. I actually love wrestling people who's heavier than me because it gives me that David and Goliath vibe. I used to wrestle people who's 6 foot, 190, and sometimes I win. Most times I lose. Sometimes I win, but the winning part makes me feel good because I beat someone who has a height advantage, a weight advantage and a strength advantage, and I beat him. That's the best thing I like, because I'm in there, I'm fighting. We collide heads, we headbutt each other. I've been kneed in the face. I've been punched. I've been elbowed. I've been even bitten. And the thing is, you just gotta overcome that. This one saying I heard. I don't know his name. Don't climb the mountain so people can see you. Climb the mountain so you can see the view. And in the beginning, I tried to climb that mountain to let people see me, and it didn't work out because no one cares. No one cares you're number one and stuff like that. But then I started climb the mountain so I can see the view. Because if you want to be a champion, you can't worry about other people. You can't worry about how people are gonna see you and stuff like that. If you do, you will never be a champion. You will never be number one. But if you climb that mountain to do it out of love, that sport or anything in life, then you become a champion. You become the best way you're at. You become the best person, the best man or woman, And it's a lot of things you gotta go through. My coach always told me, like, you either can run like a gazelle or run like a lion. Meaning, you can run away out of fear, be eaten, or you can run because you're hungry. And in the beginning, I was like the gazelle. I was running because I was getting told to run, because I wasn't running for myself. And now I run for myself because I'm hungry. Every time I run, I crave victory. I crave to win, and I understand what that's saying now, and I kind of live by it through today. And that's basically everything about wrestling. Thank you.